Hello, delicious recipe here on UPRN, and you can be checking us out on UFO Paranormal Radio, UFO Paranormal channel. Let's see if we are here. Stuff. This is my first time producing myself by myself. We'll see how this goes. Anyway, where am I here? Checking it out here live. Just checking out, making sure I got all my and. Yeah. So, you got any comments there? You can check us on the UFO paranormal thing. We're also on Facebook and things there. Uh, any other whatever, you can just post along there with us. So, November 11th, interesting day. So, well, before I even get to that, what did I call this one? Powdered donut. It comes to the part there because we are getting sort of snow up here in Ontario. And usually it snows just before Halloween. And this year it didn't snow on Halloween, but it's come all the way till yesterday. I was out doing some. I was listening to the radio, and all of a sudden they were saying watch, and I was like, "Holy jumping weather watch!" In Manitoba, snow. They were getting like a foot of snow. Ontario, and we didn't get anything there until about last night. So yesterday was everything out of the yard, getting all the stuff that could be buried, or so we ended up getting rain, and we got today and snow too, and sleet, and find one of the windows on the driver's side there malfunction, and so it sort of cut down, so I had this inside of the car didn't fill up with water. But yeah, just crazy weather, and say whatever it is that our weather is changing a little bit, but we'll see how this winter comes in this year. So November 11th, we got a bunch of different little things. I'm going solo there tonight. I have a guest I was lining up, but didn't end up go through here. So yeah, snow and rain arrives, and it's Remembrance Day or whatever this day over in Europe. And so we have Remembrance Day was well, I guess it was the First World War. What happened there? And if you all remember your history, we had two world wars. World War One, early 19 in the 40s, and that we had the Second World War, and that was Germany trying to take over the world. I think Norm Macdonald about that one there, about goes and attacks the world, and then years he decides to attack the world again. YouTube there or whatever on something there about his joke of justice. But anyway, so November 11th was the time for a poem came out, and we used to. I remember back, and then like I just I'm always amazed about how this country Canada has changed so much, and just I guess like either nationalism of Canada sort of ebbed away. It's sort of become more of a. It's not. I don't even really recognize it as Canada anymore. It's just this mixing pot of groups of people that have sort of taken over what Canada is, and land of the free, home of the brave. I remember singing "O Canada" in school. Mountains grow from coast to coast, sea to sea. Excuse me. And just interesting how we sort of, well, I've noticed anyways in my 51 years of being here, it's changed quite drastically from what our kid growing up. But getting back into this part of it, because it is Remembrance Day, I just wanted to go back to this. I remember talking about this or dealing with this in school, where we looked at this about we did history about our history and things what we learned in school. And I think a lot of people forget their history, so I'm just going to go in. This is off of the Wikipedia page there for in Flanders for Remembrance Day, and the Canadians recognize Remembrance Day, originally called Armistice, the 11th of November at 11 a.m. It marked these during the First World War and an opportunity to served in the nation's defense. So on the Wikipedia, it goes into this poem there, and I remember at 11 a.m. someone would end up reciting it, and was honored to stand up and repeat this poem. But it says here, okay, so this is off the Wikipedia. I said, Field is a war poem in the form of I guess that's a writing style, written during the First World War. Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. He was May 3rd of 1915 after presiding over the friend and fellow soldier Lieutenant Alex Helmer in Battle of Ypres. That's Ypref correctly, but that's how it's spelled. According to the legend, soldiers retrieved the poem after McCrae, satisfied with his work, discarded it in Flanders Field. In Flanders Field was first published on of that year in the London magazine. Fields is a common English name of the World War fields in Belgium and France. It's one of the most quoted war. As a result of its immediate popularity, were used in efforts and appeals to recruit soldiers selling war bonds. Its references to the red poppy, the graves of fallen soldiers, resulted in the remembrance poppy becoming one of the world's most recognizables for soldiers who have died in conflict. They are prominent Remembrance Day symbols throughout the Commonwealth, particularly in Canada, where In Flanders Fields is best known literary works. The poem is known in the United States, where it is associated with Veterans Day. So that goes into there's other stuff there. You can go and check out the whole thing of it, but test run here. Print text and Flanders Fields. Okay, in Flanders Fields, between the crosses, row on row, that mark, and in the sky, the larks still brave fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago, we lived, hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold if ye break faith with us who die. We shall not see poppies grow in Flanders Fields. So that's just of the poem there, anyways. And there's the poppy, if you remember, this is a red poppy with the little black center or whatever you got there, and people would wear it their days up beforehand. Now with this pandemic sort of brewing and people much anymore, you don't see this, right? Even in news channels there that I've sort of been on during the day, I really haven't even noticed anybody wearing this poppy or even seen it even mentioned or even talked. Maybe I wasn't looking at the right news stuff, but that's sort of a big thing that you would see around there. But I don't know, sort of there too as well. But that was the whole thing. Remembrance Day there today, November 11th, and I was you gave like a little minute of silence there and just remembered what happened there in the past century. So you got to figure that was that poem was written 106 years ago, and there's been a lot of change that's happened in the world from then to now, and you see the freedoms that was fought for to fight for the world, and you're seeing this this part of now during this past 2 years that freedoms have sort of ebbed and waned and been sort of taken and co-opted over, and it's sort of a really interesting change of times that we're going through, and it's going to continue to keep on changing with people that are in power. And like mentioned here many times before on this channel, the delicious recipe, where we throw lots of things in the pot and see how it tastes at the end, whether you like it or not. Who knows? Maybe you come up with your own version of the recipe that you find. It's just interesting that the change that has sort of happened, and you notice it more and more and more when you do research and you look into things. And that's what I say is always do research, go out and look at things. And I think there was actually a quote that I just heard out there when you're talking about politics and stuff like that, and when the regulations that who benefits when government makes decisions, and that's something you should always look at. It says when something happens and there's a major change that's taken place in your country or your town or whatever your city that you live in, you have to always wonder, like, what is the end product that's coming at the end of this? Like, how does this affect me? And this is an interesting part that I always think about too, is that when I talk to even my peer group, and just even hearing other people around in that, when they say, oh, I don't deal with politics and stuff like that, I don't doesn't concern me, that's something I don't vote, don't do this and that. But actually you deal with politics every day. When you go to the gas station to go buy gas, when you go to the grocery store to go buy food, that's all direct effect of people that are in power that are making decisions on your behalf. That's why it's so important to look into when you look at what's going on in your bubble and outside of your bubble in your area, is to see what's the change, what's the end outcome that's going to be happening. Why are these people that you voted into power or you didn't vote into power, what decisions are they making, and what can you do as a person of the population there to sort of it's not being politically getting involved, but the part is about making informed decisions and getting away from voting party line and voting person. I think that's a sort of an important thing. You have to look at the thing is, how does all this stuff affect you and your family and your life? And that's important. And when you're looking at stuff, what's happening in the world with supply chains, like this is an interesting part there, and we'll get into a whole bunch of other things too. But I think I'm all done with that part of. Oh no, I wasn't. But just how everything's going on. We'll go through all this. I'm going to be all over the place here today. So I had something else that I was going to be doing there for today, and I came up with this part there. So we're all over it. That's the whole great thing about when you run your own show. You can do whatever you want. So going back to this Flanders things or Remembrance Day, I wanted to finish off this part there before I get way too sidetracked and going off on other tangents, because I'm really good at doing that, adding extra ingredients into the pot there and forgetting where I was at the beginning. So 10 quick facts on Remembrance Day. Now, this one here is from Veterans Affairs Canada. This is right from the Canadian website. And let's see. Number one, Remembrance Day was first observed in 1919 throughout the British Commonwealth. It was originally called Armistice Day to commemorate the Armistice Agreement that ended the First World War on Monday, November 11th, 1918 at 11 a.m. on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Right, so there you go. And that's got it. And I'll tangent off again there. People always put significance on numbers and stuff like that, or dates and that, right? So you got 11, 11, 11. Right, and like people like see sevens all over the places, or other threes and stuff like that, or 32s or 43s, and they find significance in it, or things ending that they add up to 9 and stuff like that. But that's another topic for another day. Okay, number two, from 1921 to 1930, Armistice Day was held on the Monday of the week in which November 11th fell. In 1931, Alan Nell, member of Parliament for Comox Alberni, introduced a bill to observe Armistice Day only on November 11th. Passed by the House of Commons, the bill also changed the name to Remembrance Day. The first Remembrance Day was observed on November 11th, 1931. Remember, this is from the Canadian website. Every year on November 11th, Canadians pause in a moment of silence to honor and remember the men and women who have served and continue to serve Canada during times of war, conflict, and peace. We remember the more than 2.3 million Canadians who have served throughout our nation's history, and the more than 118,000 who made the ultimate sacrifice. Number 4, the poppy is a symbol of Remembrance Day. Replica poppies are sold by the Royal Canadian Legion to provide assistance to veterans. Number 5, Remembrance Day is a federal statutory holiday in Canada. It is also a statutory holiday in 3 territories, Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. And in 6 provinces, British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador. So not in Ontario. Okay. So yeah, I learned something new every day too. The national ceremony is held at the National War Memorial in Ottawa. The Governor-General of Canada presides over the ceremony. It is also attended by the Prime Minister, other government officials, representatives of veterans organizations, diplomatic representatives, other dignitaries, veterans, as well as the general public. Number 7, in advance of the ceremony, long columns of veterans, Canadian Armed Forces members, RCMP officers, and cadets march to the memorial, led by a pipe band and a color guard. At the end of the ceremony, they march away to officially close the ceremony. Okay, number 8. Some of the 54 Commonwealth member states, such as Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia, observe the tradition of Remembrance Day on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Other nations observe a solemn day, but at different dates. For example, ANZAC Day is observed in New Zealand on April 25th. In South Africa, Poppy Day is marked on the Sunday that falls closest to November 11th. Okay, number 9. Many nations that are not members of the Commonwealth also observe Remembrance Day on November 11th, including France, Belgium, and Poland. And number 10, the United States used to commemorate Armistice Day on November 11th. However, in 1954, they changed the name to Veterans Day. So there you go. So that's from that. I'll get rid of that page so I don't screw that one up. Okay. And that one's gone. That was there. Okay. So there you go. Remembrance Day, November 11th. So now we're off of that part there. So just the whole thing about remembering stuff about how we came to be how we are here. And I remember this back a couple of years ago. I think I talked about it 2 years ago when Don Cherry was kicked off. He was a commentator that did Cherry's Corner and that, and for the NHL hockey, and he had made a comment, I guess it was sort of, if you say comment or you say observation, and you can take it however you want to be, but in today's climate, you have the social justice warriors and people out there that get upset about everything. And all he was doing was basically saying, it says, you people out there that don't wear the puppy and don't remember and honor a day. It's not saying to really to honor that, but just to take note of the day. The reason that you're here is because of the fight for freedom that these soldiers did 106 years ago, and or 100 plus years ago in the last century, that gives you the freedom to enjoy the things that are here that you have. Now today you'd almost look at it as that our freedoms are slowly being ebbed and taken away, but that goes into a whole bunch of other things there too, like I've talked about with this Agenda 2030 about changing the Great Reset. Talked about that many times before, and this whole change to change society by 2030. And it's going to be interesting here, even in Canada. There was a federal law there to remove types of plastics that are be taken out. Single serve plastics would be takeout plates, bags, plastic straws, all these things. And if you go by a grocery store, you still see that they have plastic bottles and stuff like that they're selling in that. So that's like in the next 2 months, this is all supposed to be done, which I find will be very interesting to see if that actually seems to happen. But that's the plan here in Canada, is this whole change of this greenness, this whole part of this narrative of going green, global warming, changing stuff, getting away from fossil fuels and that. And I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, is that this is a far and few between a situation that will ever, I don't even think in my lifetime, come to fruition, that it's an actual possibility. If you think about just in what is needed to transport goods around and even have services around, to go totally green on a technology that is in its infancy, that is very not even viable or cost effective to do, is going to be an interesting wake up call for all these people out there that think that this is going to be an easy change or an easy way to convert the global population. Because to do this in a way, you'd have to end up having every single country on board and have a time zone where you just got rid of everything. But power supply grids, to run those off of green energy, I mentioned this like with solar, wind, it's not even a feasible option to even do this stuff. The technologies there, the batteries are not even at the place that they can be, that they can store enough power during when the sun is not out. You have weather problems. You have just logistics of putting up huge fields of stuff to create the power that you can store, that you'd be able to use later on. We're not a 9 to 5 world anymore, where we get up in the morning, go to work, and you're done. And that, like, shifts run 24 hours. Plants to do stuff, or industry to do stuff, cannot have the power that is needed off of solar and wind. And the amount of space that would take up would be more of an impact on the environment, to the birds, bugs, animals that are around. And changing off the supply chain. So what are you going to do to all your ocean going tankers, which make up, I think it's almost about 40 to 54% of all merchandise that is transported around the world through these big long ships, and that run off of heavy diesel or heavy fuel. You're not going to have a boat that runs off of wind power that's going to bring your your product over into your country. And this is another part that Laura and I, we actually even talked about this before, is just having an area where you were actually self-sufficient, that you could actually grow your own food, where you didn't have to go to a market or anything like that, where you had stuff. The footprint that you would need to supply for a family is quite extensive, and it's quite labor intensive. And we don't live like that. Large cities, where we get into these metropolis places and big cities, don't allow for space like that. We live like this whole technology and moving to bigger cities where we have everything is there. The amount to supply this stuff is so vastly expansive, and we haven't gone that way, period. Just even looking here in Canada, I was going through this and I was talking with Laura about this before, is that our infrastructure has declined negatively from where it was at the beginning. Like if you look at both, we've gotten rid of rail transportation. We've removed tracks around here. Like our supply, like here in Thunder Bay, we used to be like almost the center hub of the supply chain, because we were at the end of Lake Superior, which of the Great Lakes, which goes all the way out to the east, out to the St. Lawrence, and out to the rest of the world. We had, I think, about 13 grain elevators then. We had a huge pulp and paper industry, and that's all been sort of dried up and gone to the wayside. But just the way that our country from coast to coast is very fragmented and not even connected. And it's oh, let's see. Hello there. Hey, Jenny Spencer. Hey, like we haven't done anything. Like I would think of like if you look at the states, they made up like a grid of interstate highways and stuff like that to move things around. And I think the part of that was also to deal with military operations there. But even here in Canada, like our Trans-Canada Highway is piss poor resemblance of national pride, that's for sure. And just even the transportation of goods, even driving and stuff like that. What a sad state of affairs there that highway is, and that runs from BC all the way over to Newfoundland. And it's just, and Canada, well, yeah, about 80% of our population, or 75% of our population, lives within about 100 miles of the U.S.-Canada border, and it's just really surprising, anyways, that we've never fixed up our infrastructure or fixed up things at home. And I've made this sort of thing there, this comment before, is that if you have a household and you have different rooms and stuff like that, and you let your house fall into disrepair in one thing there, you don't go spend money down the road fixing up your neighbor's house. You fix up your own house first, and you make your own, you benefit your own place first. You make life better for you in your area, so that it's all equal and everybody benefits. But the way that it looks like here with our government, they like to go and fix everybody down the road instead of fixing up stuff here. So now we come into this part there. So we've basically, here in Canada, we've really disrupted our supply chain. We don't produce anything. We've given away everything here. Our oil sands, that's all international foreign markets that basically take all of our stuff, and that's been all given away by government, making deals and that, bringing in foreign countries that come in and mine our oil, and it gets sent off, and we get a percentage. That's why Alberta was at a no tax, zero tax, provincial tax for quite a while. I'm not sure what they are right now, but other places there, like it's so separated and fragmented that it doesn't, like, nothing's benefited here. Like, it's not a country that it was 50 years ago, that you remember everything was sort of booming, everything was looking good. It sort of always feels like it's going down and down and down. It's like, it's sort of sad, and nothing here is free. Our taxation is so high here, and the inflation keeps on going up. And that was another part there I was going to get into about inflation and what it is. And because I was found this sort of interesting too as well. I've made this comment several times, is that a potato from 50 years ago is still the same potato today, but it just costs 100 times more than what it is there. And you think with technology and how it should work is that when technology improves and manufacturing improves and stuff like that, whereas you don't have to spend the labor man hours on doing such a small amount of work for such a small yield, but you bring in something else that improves it, where you're able to increase the yield, you would figure that things would become cheaper after the part that you've paid off whatever the original investment is. So if you had 100 people work, say, or a football-sized area to plant potatoes in there, it would take you a month plus of digging with shovels or doing whatever. And so then advancements came. You brought in a horse or a ox or something like that, and you got a piece of metal to till and make windrows and piles, and then you came in and hand planted. And then later on, the invention of the tractor came out there. Now one person can go and till a whole field and till probably 100 football field sizes in a day or 2 days that 100 people would take a month to do. So you look at this whole cost effectiveness, and that the potato is still the same potato, but now one person can produce 100 fold yield more. So now you have a huge supply with less labor intensive work in there. So why did the potato end up becoming from being a penny to being $1, right? That's the whole part of this sort of inflation. But then you have to sort of look at it, is that why does inflation happen? Well, it's because of the people in government spending and doing stuff that make all these decisions. And that's why I said before at the very beginning, I said, if you think that politics, you're not involved in politics and you don't really care about politics at all, you're involved with politics all the time. When you go to the store, those decisions and the prices that you pay are the reason that you have politics. And am I getting a bleed through here? Maybe, I'm not sure. But anyway, so the term for inflation in economics, the general increase in prices and the fall in the purchasing value of money. That's the economic version. Inflation is an economic term that refers to an environment of generally generally rising prices of goods and services within a particular economy. As general prices rise, the purchasing power of consumers decreases. For example, prices for many consumer goods are double that of 20 years ago, right? And now we're coming into this part there. Now we're coming close to Christmas time, and if you follow along, if you're listening to any independent news sources and that, where this was sort of brought up a while ago. If you remember back when that Suez Canal, was it Suez, or no, it was the one over in Europe. Where the ship ended up blocking off the supply chain there between the Mediterranean and the Persian Gulf. And for every day that went down, there was millions and millions of dollars of supply goods that were sort of locked up. You had it all on these ships that are all run by diesel. Remember, they're not run by electric. They're not green energy shift. This is supply chain stuff. And so when you look at this, that one ship there, I think was blocked for a week or almost, it was just 10 days or something like that. It actually stopped the world production of supply chain around the world. The impact was just one ship, how it impacted the amount of goods and services and products around the world was an incredible amount, and we're still feeling the effects of it actually to today. And they were actually saying that it could be up to about a year plus that supply chain impact will have on everybody here. And you figure that stuff that's moving across, if you need a piece for manufacturing that comes from another country that's on a boat that gets held up, you can't proceed on doing that. So now your whole manufacturing slows down. And now we're coming into this part of coming up to this Christmas time. And this has been noted on many independent channels about supply not being there, that groceries, becoming in sort of a short supply. Prices raising. I think there was a Glenn Beck episode that I'd watched there recently in the last week, just in the States there, with the rising prices of eggs, bacon, bread, milk, like 10-15 cents rise in the price of a product over the course of your grocery bill. It ends up being a few dollars, and then you multiply that every week, and every week that's the extra money that's there. And then you have this whole 2 years that happened there where people were out of jobs. Their jobs were forced to quit or forced to stop, were done. This was all done by government mandates. We're never going to get out of here. 2 weeks to flatten the curve is now coming up on 2 years. So it's going to be an interesting Christmas time for people there, because this now it comes into goods and services, and that now you have the supply chain that's been sort of halted, that's slowly coming back up to. People are trying to get things made, whatever. You have problems with China, where a lot of stuff comes from China. If you don't realize that, it comes over from the Asian markets, and that. And now you have just problems with that, getting stuff like. And if you don't believe it, is China produces a lot of things. It produces a lot of the drugs that we get. Produces a lot of computer components that we get, electronic stuff that we get, and it's just the way that free market and has gone, and people have gone to produce in cheaper areas. And when they've done that, they've let their house fall into disrepair, and that's happened up here in Canada. Like a lot of stuff that we had up here has been given away. We've moved away from the gold standard. We're on fiat currency, where that's just a regulated. Basically, it's a pretend thing on speculation on what your dollar is going to be. Oh, okay. See you later there, Jenny Spencer. Oh yeah, I believe that Laura said that she's from down south there. I think Australia or something like that. Well, thanks a lot for coming by. And just things in our supply chain that's going to be sort of interesting. We've had. Geez, I even tried making a garden there. I made cucumbers, and just before this freezing ended up happening there, I've got my potatoes out there. I got a bunch of it there. So, UK. Okay, awesome. Sorry about that, Jenny. Glad that you came by there. See, this is my first time doing this solo here, so I'm running many different facets here, where I usually have somebody else pushing buttons for me and pressing things there. So this has been an interesting part there, and if you follow along with any independent journalists that are following market trends and supply and demand stuff, this has been a part there that's been looking at the part with beef production and with this sort of price fixing, and this has been a sort of thing you're wondering, and you're looking at different things that are going on in markets. When you're going to a grocery store and you're seeing a product that's not there, or there's only a certain amount, you have to sort of wonder what is the process. Where there was abundance, now there's becoming sort of a throttling of amount of products that are being there, or even stuff that's not available anymore. And at the beginning of this 2 years ago, when things started shutting down, there was a lot of things about what you can and can't buy. There was you had to, even up here, there was areas in stores that then I never could figure this out. It made no sense to me. And Laura and I, we talked about this, like, why would you block certain items of being outside in your backyard selling stuff, where you cripple a store from selling product that it has in their store when somebody wants to buy it? I mean, as the whole part about was lockdown, and it was the way that government can control the freedom of its populace. And I don't know how this is going to end up going later on, how this will end up working. This being lots of more I guess, pushback to this, and it's I've been seeing more and more groups and people coming out there, because it doesn't matter what the government narrative is, it always keeps on changing. The goalposts keep on moving. You never ever get to leave the hallway. They always keep on extending it further and further. It's almost like that no, it was not virtual reality, that sort of Twilight Zone sort of thing. You start walking down, or one of those horror movies where you start walking down the hallway and the door keeps on moving further and further. You never get to exit, right? You just keep on walking forever. You're never ever going to get free of this. And that's what it sort of almost feels like, that things are just going to keep on changing. Things are going to be more mandated on and restricted on you, and until it's going to be to a part that it's going to be beat down submission. That's almost sort of feels like that they're going to keep on pestering and doing that. And then you have to look at the people that are out there, and the term sheeple is basically to blindly follow and just agree with the people that are in charge, never to ask questions about things. And I've said this before I use this part there. As a child, you ask questions about everything, and people always say, "Oh, geez, will that kid ever just shut up? Does it just keep on talking? Why? What's this? How come that?" Well, that's actually a good thing, because when you go to school, you just get started told the answers. These are the questions that were given you. These are the answers to the questions. Learn it, memorize it, and then that's it. You become programmed. This is the narrative. This is what it is. And then when you leave school, you stop asking questions. Some start asking questions again when things impact them, when things start happening to them that they don't seem right. Then they start thinking about things, and they start going, well, why is this happening? And that's where I think more people have to start coming to is, why is it? What is the end game? Why are things happening? Why is it the situation it is? And then go back and look and find the reason why, and or go and just research things and look at it. Go and look into people that are making these deals. Why are they making deals for this? Why is this being done? What benefit are they getting? That's the thing. This is really an interesting part, is that people that are in power, they're in power to first benefit themselves. You are an afterthought, or even if you are a thought. And that's not the way that freedom and a democratic society was supposed to be. You put people in there to benefit society, and you benefit your country, to build up your country, to make it better, so that everything is easier and should be cheaper for you and should benefit everybody across the board. But that's not what ends up happening here anyways, not in Canada anyways, and I don't think it's even happening in the States either, or even in the UK or any of these countries that are supposed to be free democratic societies and stuff like that. It's always the powerful elite, the companies, the millionaires, the people that are in control. They benefit themselves first, and they benefit their families second, and then if maybe they benefit their friends, and then they benefit their area, then maybe they benefit a little bit wider out, but never across the board. They never ever think, people that are in the federal part, they're not thinking cross ways, that why is this side there? Like, we have places up here in reserves up here that still don't even have fresh water. Even even in the States there, Detroit there, with that Obama goofy thing, drinking Detroit water there, that which probably wasn't even Detroit water, or Flint, Michigan water, whatever it was. This never done. It's all just magical prestige, sleight of hand politics, and that's the way it is. And that's why I think more people have to go and look at what these people in power are doing, the ones that are elected and the ones even that are non-elected. Though that ends up being the scary one. Like you have in the States there, you have Fauci, a non-elected person who was never elected by the populace and the population, but he was in the part there with the director of what is it, NIH or whatever. You got here, we have that Tam, Dr. Tam, making. She's also on I think the WHO board, and making world decisions. She was never elected. She was just She was picked and put into a power of position, and making decisions on the rest of the population. And you have to sort of ask and question a lot of this stuff. And it's so sad that we've come into this part here now where opinions, debate has been silenced or taken off. Where if you say something that one group doesn't agree with, and they raise a stink about it, they get you removed, canceled. Like, this cancel culture is totally a new way that we've sort of gone into the way of control. It's sort of fighting without actually fighting. It's a way to destroy without even being there, and it's just it's an interesting dynamic that's sort of come into this world, and free speech being taken away. Like even here in Canada, if you don't agree, I think this is whatever these Bill C-10s and these other ones going in by that when you go and say anything that uh, questions the government or the people in power, which you should be able to do. You should be able to question these things and have concerns that you should be able to voice your opinion and find other people that and have debate, talk about this. And that's been slowly gone and slowly missed, and it's slowly going away. And the changing culture of changing things, taking old things and reworking them into new things. There's no like changing storylines, pulling books out that you can't read anymore because one group has it. This is censorship has been around for quite a long time. I remember even back with if you remember back with the PMRC with Tipper Gore back then when they had the music code there with the explicit Parents Advisory Board, and about they were saying that certain songs and lyrics and that were satanic or causing people to kill each other. Well, that just changes into a different thing where free speech and voice and opinion is negative, and whereas this group goes and says, well, we're going to go and cancel you or get rid of you. This has been happening lots. You've seen this certain celebrities, whatever, for making jokes or comments and stuff like that, taking out of context, or just even making thought-provoking ideas, and somebody takes offense to it. And that's the problem, that taking offense to something is a you problem, and that's a problem with the individual. It's not a problem with everybody across the board, but we've come to this part there now where a bunch of these you people all join together, and they go, no, it's this, and there's such a small minority, but they make such a big stink or a big impact. And then you get businesses that are worried about being aligned with these people or being aligned with stuff like that. So then it's all this sort of this covert warfare that's sort of out there. And you have to wonder, is social media, foreign countries and stuff like that, like are these all part of a plan to destabilize North American civilization? I don't know. That's lots of thoughts out there. There's more things to go and throw in the pot. That's for sure. But we are coming up close to our ending time here on the delicious recipe here on UPRN. So what I would say there for you to look at, maybe just to look at things and go and search them out there. Look at why your prices are being impacted in the places you live, if they are, if they are not. Look at, just follow back the chain line. There was always this thing there, follow back to the money. Companies don't like to lose money. They don't like to give away money, especially international companies. They like to take over and control. I talked about this before when I did my piece on George Soros and the Open Society Foundation about coming in and destabilizing governments and countries so that they can swoop in and take over products. If you go in and read about the history of George Soros and stuff like that, and how he started out from his adolescent years to getting to where he is now, it's a very interesting story, and it's one that you'd have a sort of second look at. And this comes in this whole part about philanthropy, and philanthropy, I think, is just a misused word now, where it's actually come into a part of taking over and subverting. I really say subverting, maybe coming over and taking over and changing things for themselves. If you look at Gates Foundation, experimentation in Africa and other places, like where's a computer programmer, Microsoft guy there, going into the part where he's making vaccines and testing experimental drugs on third world countries? You can go into the whole part of looking back into him. Go look into the other countries that are doing testing and experimenting in South America, Africa, other countries, just look at what they're doing and see where this all plays out through and how it affects you back in the place that you live. And it's just, there's so many things out there to go and look at. And when you think that you live in your own little bubble and that everything that's there is what affects it, that there's so many outside of influences and effects that are out there, not just in your country and just in other countries as well, other places of the world that affect you in your little bubble. And I think there's a part in time there where people need to pop their bubble and start looking outward and wondering, how did we get to this place that we are here today? Because this place here that we are here in 2021 is a far different place than it was back when I was born in 1970. And even with the way technology has gone, the way everything has gone throughout our life, we've moved so exponentially forward in technology, but we've sort of never really we've sort of stagnated. We've never done anything to make life better for everybody else around us. It's nothing's the utopia future that was written about in these science fiction and fantasy novels of long ago is not coming to fruition. And I think that we're going to be the standing in the line, another brick in the wall, ants marching down the line. And that's the way I see this bleak feature coming up there. But who knows, maybe things will change for the better, maybe not. But anyways, this has been the Delicious Recipe here on Remembrance Day, November 11th, 2021. Check out stuff there, and I'll see y'all next week.